Okay, I have a question from Heather pertaining to math, and she's in the 4th grade at Concord Elementary. And she wants to know, how do you multiply the fractions 1 1/4 times 3/5? And so I'll also go to the board for this problem. Okay, Heather. You wanted to know what is 1 1/4 times the fraction 3/5. And in working with this multiplication problem, it would be simpler to turn this 1 1/4 into 5/4. And I derived that from 1 times the denominator, which is 4, plus the numerator, which is 5, over the denominator, which is 5/4. And so it would be 5/4 times 3/5, which is 15/20. But you can also go ahead and further reduce this, Heather, to 3/4, dividing a 5 out of both the numerator and the denominator. So I hope that helps you, Heather.
My next question is from Joshua from Heath, a 9th grader. Her question is an algebra problem, so I'll have to go to the board to solve this one also. Joshua's problem is, what is x plus 25 equals 100, and solve for x. To do this, we subtract 25 from each side. So x plus 25 minus 25 equals 100 minus 25, which simplifies down to x equaling 75. I hope this answers your question.
The question I have is a social studies question from Charity, an 8th grader at Reedland Middle School. Her specific question is, what 2 goals did Europe have in going to Asia? The answer is opening new trade routes and starting new colonies. I hope that answers your question.
My next question is a math question from Stephanie in the 9th grade at Paducah Tillman High School. I'll have to take this to the board. Stephanie's problem is, how do you solve the equation z plus 28 equals 5? The easiest way to do this problem, Stephanie, is to isolate z on one side. To do that, you would subtract 28 from both sides. Therefore, z equals negative 33. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, I have a question from Keith pertaining to history, and he's from St. Mary Elementary, and he's in the 1st grade. And Keith wanted to know, who was the 5th president? Well, Keith, the 5th president was James Monroe.
Our next question comes from Jennifer from Cooper Elementary. Hers is another math problem, so once again go to the board. Jennifer asks, what is 52 times 2? To do this, we first multiply our 2's, and we get 4. And then we multiply our 2 times our 5 and put it under the tens column, and we get 10. The answer is 104. I hope that answers your problem.
The next question is an English question from Sarah, a 5th grader at St. John Elementary. And her question is, she would like to have a direct object explained. A direct object receives the action of the verb. For example, he hit the ball. Ball is the direct object and is what was hit. It received the action of the verb hit.
My next problem was from Susan, a 6th grader at St. Mary Elementary. It pertains to math and is easiest worked at the board. Susan would like the decimal point 0.009426 in scientific notation. The way you would work this problem is count the number you would have to move your decimal place in this direction to get it behind the first number, which is the 9. In this case, it takes 1, 2, 3, 4 places. So therefore, it would be 9.426 times 10 to the -4th. I hope that answers your question.
And my next question is from Tina from McNabb Elementary, and she's in 5th grade. And she wanted to know what is 4/5 times 2.5. So I will proceed to the board to answer this question. Okay, she wanted to know what 4/5 times 2.5 was. Okay, Tina, in this problem, you once again need to convert your 2.5 to a simpler term, which will be 5/2. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus your numerator is 5 over halves. And so it would be 4/5 times 5/2, which reduces to 20/10, and 20 divided by 10 is 2. So your answer would be 2 for that problem.
My next problem comes from Christy. It's a math problem. She asks to simplify radical 72. I'll go to the board to do this. The square root of 72 is best divided up into 2 separate square roots. The square root of 36 times the square root of 2. 36 times 2 is 72, and setting it up in 2 different equations where 36 is a perfect square, we get 6 times radical 2, or plainly 6 radical 2. I hope that answers your question.
My next question is an English question from Andy, a 4th grader at Clark. Which method of documenting is better for a research paper? Well, Andy, the method is changing from the rather complicated footnotes and bibliography page to a much simpler method. At the end of a quote or other information, the author's name is given, and at the end of the paper, a page called Works Cited gives a list of books, magazines, etc.
My next question is from Thomas from St. Mary. Thomas would like to know, if you have 2 yolks in an egg, will there be twin chicks? First of all, Thomas, the egg is not big enough to hold 2 chicks, and most likely they will both die.
I have a question from Gina in the 5th grade, and this was just a general question. She wanted to know, what is the most sung song in the United States? Well, it would be Happy Birthday, Gina.